One of the biggest problems new drone pilots face is not actually knowing where they can fly. And the problem is, the apps don't always agree. You check one map, it looks fine, then check another, and suddenly you're in a warning zone. So in this video, I'll show you a simple way to check properly so you can fly safely and confidently every time. And to be honest, it can feel like a bit of a minefield at first. There's a lot going on, and it's not always obvious what actually matters. So let me simplify it for you. Start with your main map, something like Drone Assist. It's still a useful starting point, but it's not always up to date, so I wouldn't rely on it on its own. Then cross-check with another source. If both agree, you're usually on safe ground. First of all, let's talk about the red areas. These are flight restriction zones, or FRZs. Now this is where a lot of people get confused. Red does not automatically mean you can't fly. What it actually means is, you can't fly there without permission. Around airports, that permission usually comes from air traffic control. So the key takeaway is this. Red doesn't mean no fly. It means controlled airspace. Permission required. If you get permission, you can legally fly there. If you don't, then it's a no. And if you are applying for permission, especially near an airfield, you'll often need something like a risk assessment. I've put together a simple tool to generate one, and I've put a free to use link in the description. And this is the bit most people miss. Even if your airspace looks clear, there can still be local restrictions. Things like council bylaws or public space protection orders. Tools like Drone Scene now include a layer that shows these. So, somewhere that looks fine might actually have restrictions you wouldn't expect. Then there are environmentally sensitive areas, like sites of special scientific interest. Some apps will show you that an area is an SSSI, but if you want to understand why, you can dig a bit deeper using something like Natural England. That might show things like protected wildlife, nesting birds, or fragile habitats. And that can help you make a better judgment about whether it's appropriate to fly there. Because it's not always just about what's allowed, it's about what's responsible. And finally, there are temporary restrictions. Things like events, emergency services activity, or temporary airspace changes. They're called NOTAMs, but don't worry too much about the name. Most apps will show these, but the key thing is they can change day to day. So it's always worth checking just before you fly. This is why you can't rely on just one app. Places like prisons, schools, parks are all worth paying extra attention to. And sometimes even areas that look completely fine have local rules behind the scenes. So before every flight, this is what I do. It takes less than a minute and it can save you a lot of trouble. In my last video, I covered some of the biggest mistakes new pilots make, and not understanding where they can fly is one of the most common. This is part of my Out of the Box series, designed to take you from beginner to confident pilot step by step. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.